Show your pride for Ken and Willie Anderson's Hall of Fame candidacy with our exclusive t-shirt. Featuring a bold design, this shirt lets you celebrate two football legends. Plus, 30% of proceeds go to the Ken Anderson Alliance and Willie Anderson Lineman Academy. Wear your support and make a difference today.
Hooday, and welcome into another fantastic, awesome edition of Talking Bengals. It is a victory week edition as the Bengals took care of business against the Giants, though it was not the way any of us predicted it. Once again, do not bet on the predictions that we make, or else you're probably going to lose a lot of money because we're never in the ballpark. I'm just going to put that out there. We are a fan-based podcast. We are not statisticians in any way, shape, or form, and we don't get paid to do this. So, hey, it is what it is. But it's a great week to be a Bengals fan. So, Nick and Josh, how are we doing tonight?
Doing great. How about the Bengals finding a way to win?
Josh, awesome mustache, by the way.
Thanks. Probably not going to keep it for too long. It feels weird.
Like we said, you got a Huffy in the back somewhere in your truck.
I always keep lots of candy.
I mustache you a question.
You know what? My 4-year-old said that to me.
Oh,
today. She did.
Your 4-year-old is a funny person.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. Well, we're not going to beat around the bush. We're jumping right into our cheers and jeers here. It's a victory week. We don't need to hopefully be too super critical, but there definitely are some jeers out there. Josh, I'll let you take it first for cheers and jeers.
Cheer. I'm going to say the defense finally stepped up. They were not facing a great offense. They were facing an offense that was missing two of the best players that they had. So fortune was definitely on the side of the Bengals this week. But they stepped up when they needed to. They were able to hold them out of the end zone all but once. They really just – they showed that they are tired of being talked down about. Getting health back on the defensive line was probably the biggest thing that could have happened. B.J. Hill coming back was exactly what this team needed to give them a little bit of a spark. Mm-hmm. And then on the other side, the offensive line is going to be the jeer. Not because they necessarily played bad, because they did play against a very good defensive line. They've got the Giants have 7 guys that have recorded a sack so far this season. They have the number 1 defensive line to this point. So the only jeer I can really find is going to be the offensive line not giving Joe Burrow time to do really anything that he needed to do, even though he did have some really good plays, especially that 40-some-odd yard run.
That's a pretty exciting one. Nick, what are yours?
I'm going to go ahead and say, just to kind of not do the same thing Josh said, my cheers, I'm going to start off with a good one, is Burrow is healthy enough and able to run well enough to run 47 yards and dive into the corner pylon of the end zone for the longest touchdown run of his NFL career.
That's nice.
That's exciting as crap. A, because he felt good enough to run that, and B, he felt good enough that he could dive into the end zone and not get hurt, which is absolutely amazing. Absolutely love that. Now, jeers, I'm going to have to give that to our defensive tackles, or not defensive tackles, offensive tackles, Brown and Mims. Come on, guys. Come on. You get paid to do one job. That's blocked for Joe Burrow. You're 2 of the biggest guys in the league. There should not be 4 sacks recorded off the 2 guys that you're blocking.
Yeah, the offensive line play, I'll go away from the offensive line for my jeer because y'all have beaten it in pretty good. But it's true, they were abysmal. And my jeer may be short-sighted, so bear with me. But Joe Burrow, I'm giving him a jeer because he looked like he was afraid to pull the trigger. And unfortunately, the angle that you get, you don't see what he sees. So you're not sure what was going on down the field, but there was several times he second-guessed himself. He just didn't let it fly. And I get it. He doesn't want to throw a lot of interceptions. But I'm wondering if the end of the Baltimore game stuck with him. If he was a little bit more in his head because of that interception and their inability to win that ball game because he didn't take control of it. So I'm a little bit worried about him, not overly worried. I think he's going to bounce back and be fine. But he missed some opportunities. He did some great things. So he kept his safety from happening, so good on him for that. But he didn't quite look like himself the whole time. He'd flash, and then he would. So that's going to be my jeer. And my cheer to close out the section is going to be the special teams. They played really well. Tyson Anderson, I mean, that punt unit right now with Rico and Tyson Anderson, lockdown. You might as well forget about it because do a fair catch because you're going to get hit. He made one great tackle, and then the other one, he didn't quite get the full tackle, but he slowed the guy down enough to where the next guy tackled him. He got like 1 yard. So that is, I mean, as a gunner, you can't ask for anything more than that. Just getting down there, stopping that punt returner as soon as they try. Yeah, fantastic job.
So I kind of want to build off of what you were saying there, Casey, to just kind of continue that conversation. Joe Burrow, in his interview after the game, he talked about kind of second guessing himself, not really getting into a rhythm that first half, not really trusting himself. And then the second half being able to find that rhythm. You saw the difference between the first half and the second half in his performance. I can't really say the second half was all on Joe Burrow. Between the sacks and drop passes like Jamar Chase wide open across the middle of the field, ball hits him right in the worst spot to hit you, right in the middle of the hands, and he drops it, just losing focus apparently, which hopefully will be rare if ever happens again. But I think Joe's cognizant enough to be able to see objectively outside of himself to see his performance and make those in-game adjustments himself. And I really like seeing that. I really like hearing it from him.
He was honest about it too, like an ugly win. Yeah. But it's a win. That's the only statistic that matters. You can win by 1 point, 7-6 in a miserable game to watch. If you win, you win. Wins are what get you to the postseason. All those fancy stats that they put up against Washington and Baltimore and Kansas City, that doesn't get you to the playoffs because you got the L. Now, you need to play more like that on offense. But, yeah, your defense, I feel like it was a great opportunity for them to build confidence. We won that game as the defense. The offense didn't win the game. The defense, yep, we did this. We stuck with it. We shut them down. We stopped them on, 3 4th downs? And short. They weren't like long 4th downs. They were 4th and 2, 4th and 1. And they stopped.
I was about to say it's 4th and 2 or less in all of the 4th downs that they've stopped them on. That was impressive.
Yeah, that's a confidence booster. And that should keep building. And a lot of those young guys did great. McKinley Jackson, they didn't even know who he was. That's how fresh off of the injury report he is. They're like, is that BJ Hill? No, it's McKinley Jackson. So, yeah, he's coming out of nowhere, making things happen. And we're going to get into this a little bit further, but before we, jump to our next segment, I do want to ask a strategic level question here. So in Zach Taylor's interview after the game, he said that Chase Brown was not supposed to score a touchdown there. I have my thoughts on this, but I'm going to give it to Josh first. What do you think, Josh?
I mean, there's definitely that strategic point to it. You run the clock out, don't give the other team another chance to get potentially a touchdown and then recover an onside kick, because that has happened this season. Teams have recovered onside kicks. Heck, that's what in 2021 almost lost Joe Burrow, or in 2020 almost lost Joe Burrow for the Bengals. They recovered the onside kick against the Dolphins, and then they scored, 14 points in 30 seconds? Anything like that could happen. So if you have the lead and you're within the 5 minutes, you run out as much clock as you possibly can. Run the ball and try to just keep it out of the other team's hands, because you never know what could happen, especially with the defense playing the way that they have played up until last week, or this past weekend. I mean, I get the strategy, But I like to play for aggressiveness. I like to score touchdowns. I want to just keep going and beat the other team down, make them feel like they cannot stand a chance to beat you, demoralize them. That's the way I like to play.
I'm going to kind of agree with that, Casey. I mean, I understand the strategic outlook of, playing the clock. But what happens when the next play you fumble the ball handing it off?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you don't get the first down and now on third down, you are trying to pass the ball and then get an interception, pick six, and lose the game? If you got a chance to score.
Mm-hmm.
Unless there's 20 seconds left on the clock and they only have one timeout, right? Then just take the ball and kneel it, right? Or score the touchdown and just seal the game. Put the nail in the coffin. Call it a day. Your defense is having a day. Tell them, hey, we're going to rely on you, right? Build that confidence like what you're saying. I'm going to be honest with you. Zach Taylor needs to stop calling plays. I don't care if we win or lose. Zach Taylor needs to stop calling plays.
Well, and I'm with you guys 100%. That's why I'm glad we're all in alignment on this one. But I respect Zach Taylor. Jamar Chase came to his defense, said, he's keeping them all together. He's getting them all in the right mindset and whatnot. He is playing to not lose games. You will not win a championship when you are playing to not lose games. The Giants are a dumpster fire. But I want to give their coach, I don't know his name, I probably should have done my research, but hats off to him. You're not going to win this game if you don't go for it on fourth down. And he kept going for it on fourth down. Did that work out for him every time? No, but their defense was playing really well. But, yeah, like you all said, what happens when he fumbles on the next play? What happens when, there's some weird situation that happens, a bad snap and you lose 20 yards and then you try to throw it to run the clock out? There's too many scenarios. I know there's only like a minute 55 left and they only had one timeout. But never, ever give up an opportunity to get points. Get the points. Yeah, because the chance of them not recovering an onside kick, slim to none. They still have to score first to even have a chance to do that. And they didn't. So you never give up points. Never give up an opportunity to get points. It doesn't pay. Bad things can happen. And Brown had fumbled like 2 plays before that, 3 plays before that, something like that. So really, you're going to not let him run one into the end zone and instead hope that there's not something crazy in a season where so many things have gone wrong? Yeah, that's nuts. Zach Taylor, either get the cojones to make the play calls and try to win the ball game or hand it off to somebody else, because you can't play to not lose in this league. That's what Marvin Lewis did. And that's why we all got sick of Marvin Lewis, because in the playoffs, what did he do? We're going to play to not lose this one, guys. Be as conservative as we can. And they lost every single time.
Yeah, Casey, I'm just going to interrupt you. I was just going to interrupt you for a minute because I have something on top of mind. Any good team or great team that I've ever been a part of, we played to go out and just stomp the other team. We were not worried about, we don't want to lose. No, we're going out there to win. We're going out there to stomp them, put our foot down on their throat, and then wrench it down tight. We're not trying to sit there and hold back and, we're going to play conservatively here or there. No, we're going to be aggressive and we're going to score until they won't let us score anymore because we score so much. And especially in a professional ball game, everybody out there is getting paid. Everybody out there is getting paid to play and paid to want to win. And none of those guys want to lose. Not a single player on that field wants to lose. So my main goal at that point is score as many as you can, even if you have to humiliate them like Detroit did to Dallas.
Yep. 100% facts right there.
I mean, are you ever going to see the Kansas City Chiefs say, we're going to try to not score this touchdown? No, because they want to score as much as they can because they have the mindset of aggression. They want to beat the life out of you to where you do not want to be on that football field any longer. Even if their offense is not capable of doing it this year, in past years, we've seen teams that have been able to do that. The Bengals have been able to do that. They were able to do that against the Ravens in 2021, beating them 47 to, I think it was like 47 to 17. Dominate. I mean, you want to, especially with the firepower that this team has, you want to go out there and dominate every single game. You don't want to play conservatively. You don't want to play to not score. With the way that the Giants offense was playing against the Bengals defense on Sunday, go out there and score as much as you can. Their offense can do nothing. Daniel Jones looked like Anthony Richardson. He could not complete a pass. Easy passes were going into the ground or getting knocked away by BJ Hill. Mm-hmm. Go out there and play to win. You were 1-4. What did you have to lose?
I mean, exactly. You bring up a great point. I mean, Jones, the only thing he did well all day was run the ball. I mean, he didn't throw any dimes. He didn't throw any good passes. And I mean, to be quite frank with you, the only thing he did was scramble and maybe do a quarterback draw every once in a while. I mean, just quite frankly, that's essentially all it was. That's the only reason they scored, other than the penalty.
Exactly. All right, we have a new thing to change segments here because Zach, it's hard for him to find it. So.
I'm going to remain my dignity.
Yeah, 10 seconds of a middle finger is fine. Okay.
Guess what? You just proved that advertising on podcasts works. Reach thousands of local listeners each week and grow your business. Reach out to Talkin Bengals today to find out more by emailing talkinbengals@gmail.com.
Moving on to the next subject, we're going to recap our Talking Bengals challenge question. So unfortunately, we had no winners again this week. I thought I made it as easy as humanly possible, but nobody expected Joe Burrow to come out and play that bad, except for our two almost candidates here. So almost Jason Stokes with a 203. Almost. Sherry Lynn with 215. Almost, but not quite. So still yet to have any winners. We will try to make it even easier this week for who's going to get something, because we want to give away a free shirt. We're just here. We have big hearts. We want to give you all
I have a good one.
Save it for that segment of the show. We're not there yet. Gotta get to the end. So from there, we will move into trivia. This is a fun question for everybody, and it's a two-part question. So we're going to see if you guys can get the first part and the second part right. First part, how many 2-4 teams have made the playoffs since the year to include season 2021?
Podium Automotive is a proud sponsor of Talkin Bengals. In Greater Cincinnati, it's Podium Automotive for all your auto needs. Skilled technicians, quality service you can trust, and fair prices. Tell us Talkin Bengals sent you and get 5% off all services. Schedule your appointment today on Facebook at Podium Automotive or call 859-869-0097.
Zach? You here?
Oh, Zach's here for the trivia. Restart the trivia, Casey, so that way Zach can be included.
Because he's going to cut that part out anyway, so whatever. Trivia for this week. How many 2-4 teams have made the playoffs, including the year 2021 and beyond?
So 2021 and forward, or like looking back?
Forward. So 21, 22, 23.
3.
3, 1. What's your guess? What, Josh? 5.
5.
Josh is correct. It is 5. Now, since Josh got it right, he gets to answer the second part. Can you name those 5 teams?
Cincinnati Bengals is going to be one of them.
And
I'm out.
anybody else want to take a stab at running the gauntlet here?
Seahawks,
And,
Giants,
Buccaneers.
nope,
the Browns,
nope,
Steelers,
nope.
Ravens.
How many more?
Hold on. Let me
There's
just
only
walk off
32
first
teams.
2 teams.
The Chargers,
Nope,
the Rams,
nope.
Vegas,
Are you guys going to literally guess every team but these?
Jaguars.
Jaguars, there's one.
all right. Indianapolis,
Nope,
Chiefs,
Steelers.
nope, nope. I'm just going to tell you guys. Jaguars, Patriots, Eagles, 49ers, and Packers.
I said the Eagles, the Patriots.
Hey,
You
were
said no.
jumbled in everybody else?
I heard Patriots.
Apparently.
All right, well, Josh won the original challenge question, so yay, Josh.
He gets a hand clap.
Segment transition.
Check out the latest Bengals gear with Season Enterprises with our Boo Day and Sunday Fun Day tees and sweatshirts. Check out Season Enterprises on Etsy or TalkinBengals.com to keep the whole family in style this fall.
So that'll do it for the trivia. Moving into our preview with the dreaded, abysmal, and for some reason they dominate Joe Burrow, but hopefully not this year, Cleveland Browns. The Browns are somehow still an organization in football, even though they have a 1-5 record. Their quarterback has more lawsuits than he does passing yards. So it's just abysmal looking at Cleveland, who they are, how they're put together. And we'll let Zach get into the really fun Cleveland news. Go ahead, Zach.
Cleveland traded Amari Cooper, so who is he going to throw the ball to?
Judy, apparently. He had such a great career in Denver.
He's going to throw it to nobody because that's what he's done all season.
Oh,
He may throw it to DJ Turner.
I like that option. I really do.
Like, that could be legit. But, Zach, you want to talk us through what you think the Browns game is going to look like?
I think this is in the great, legendary lyricist, wordsmith, all the other different things that you could say about Bob Marley. I think this is going to be our redemption song for Joey B and Cleveland. So that being said, I think it's going to be a somewhat decent, offensive performance. God, I would love to watch pass and rush blocking happen at the exact same time in a game. It would make it so much fun for our offense. Because I know you guys probably already talked about it, but Chase Brown, it's the reason why we drafted him. Zach Moss fumbled, but that was one play. It is what it is. I don't know. We're not in the score predictions yet, so all facets are going to be interesting. Defense has got to play the way they played last week, and Deshaun's going to play like 2024 Deshaun and not Clemson Deshaun.
We can only hope. I mean, I'll go next for this one and pass it back around. But the only thing about the Browns that scares me is number 95, Myles Garrett. He is the only person who can wreck this game for the Bengals. I don't think Deshaun Watson can do it. I don't think anybody else. Nick Chubb, people are going to say, oh, Nick Chubb's coming back. He can cause problems. He can. I'm guessing Josh or Nick will talk about that. But for the love of all things holy, put Mims with Drew Sample against him. And if for some reason he travels, move Drew Sample and tell him you're not going out for any pass plays. You are literally just double teaming Myles Garrett the entire game. Don't let him get anywhere close to Joe Burrow. Because if he doesn't get anywhere close to Joe Burrow, I doubt anyone's getting anywhere close to Joe Burrow. But if he gets in there early, gets some sacks, gets into Joe's head, that's how the Bengals lose this game. So, Zach Taylor, I know you're an avid listener to Talking Bengals. Please heed my advice. You have Drew Sample on this team for one reason, that is to block. So please just go with a double team against Myles Garrett all game long. Josh, what do you got?
Completely agree. You have to double Nick Chubb. He is the TJ Watt that they have.
I think you mean Myles Garrett.
Yeah, Myles Garrett. I was going to talk about Nick Chubb. Him coming back, he's the only person on the offense that you even have to be scared of. You're facing statistically the worst offense in the history of the NFL. Looking at, I was hearing stats on ESPN radio the other day, or yesterday it might have been. I don't freaking know. They are second to last in almost every statistical category, and that is including over 500 different iterations of teams. It is historically bad. They have not scored over 18 points yet this season. Last in the NFL. I don't see why this defense cannot build off of what they did last week, especially with BJ Hill coming back. He can shut down Nick Chubb. Easily, he can. This team was also able to shut down Derrick Henry most of the game without having BJ Hill, without having our big run stoppers, because if they're trying to shut down a real threat in the run game, they seem to be able to do that, but they can't shut down anyone on the back end. They just haven't figured out how to do both. Hopefully, BJ Hill coming back will free the back end up to do that this week. But I'm not worried about the Cleveland Browns this year. Not with their reluctance to get out of their own way and bench Deshaun Watson because of how much they're paying him. If it wasn't for how much he's making, he'd be sitting on the bench. He'd be sitting on the couch. He'd be probably not even watching the NFL because he's so bitter that nobody wants him.
Agreed on that. Nick, what are your views here?
Cleveland preview, I think that, offensively, we should put up some good numbers. Myles Garrett is definitely somebody to watch. I agree with you. Drew Sample, he needs to be – is it Drew or Cam? I think it's Drew on offense, isn't it?
Yep.
Sorry, we have two samples. Anyways, so yeah, put Drew Sample on him, have him double team him either with Mims or with Brown, whichever side he lines up on. Just have the double team. That's the reason why you have Sample there. But offensively, I think as long as we can contain Myles Garrett, I think Burrow, Chase Brown, Zach Moss, I think they should have field days. Essentially, all of our wide receivers should have at least 2 or 3 catches. I think Chase and Higgins are going to have big days, especially if we can block Myles Garrett for longer than 2 seconds. Defensively, I think our main focus is going to have to be on Nick Chubb. He is a one-man wrecking crew, and the man is a beast. We don't want to look past this game because, like we've seen in the past, when we look past teams that we should be beating really badly, like, say, the Giants or the Patriots, or, name the other 30 teams that are in the league.
Right.
Anyways, you're looking in – you don't want to overlook teams because the teams that you overlook are the ones that are going to beat you. So, like I said earlier, everybody's getting paid to play the game. Everybody gets paid to try to win. We need to try to go out there, put up big numbers on offense, put up big stops on defense, make a statement this week.
Segment change.
Take your career to new heights with constructive curiosity. Whether it's career coaching, mental performance training, or business management consulting, constructive curiosity has the insight to get it right. Visit constructivecuriosity.com to get started today.
And so I'm going to kick it right back to you, Nick, because you said you had a Talking Bengals challenge question that would be perfect to get us to give away a free t-shirt this week. So what do you got?
So I'm going to put a stipulation on this, okay? We are going to have everybody saying total offensive yards. So running, rushing, and passing, total offensive yards, plus or minus 20 yards.
Ooh, that is a massive window.
We're trying to give away a shirt here, okay?
True. We'll go plus or minus 20. Stipulation.
You cannot guess within 20 yards of somebody else.
That's weird because I'm not going to know. But let's just say the closest to it wins. So if we have multiple people guess within 20 yards, the closest person is the winner.
Yeah, plus or minus. Doesn't matter if you go over. This isn't Price is Right.
Except for you, Nick. You have the Price is Right this one. What is your guess for total offensive yards?
I'm going to say total offensive yards, realistically, we're looking at about 420.
20? All right, Zach, what do you think?
Total yards offensively. Hmm. 380.
380. Josh, what do you think?
532.
I am going with 310. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm aiming low.
Is that a lot of defensive points or?
You'll see in my score prediction where my mind is at. So that's
okay.
Second point. So that's going to bring us to our prediction portion of the show. And we're going to see, it's interesting. We have some, our yardage guesses on the Talking Bengals challenge question may have been telling of what we think the scores are going to be. So I'm going to try to go high to low here. So we're going to start with Josh, then go to Nick, then go to Zach. Actually, I think I'll go first. We'll start at the lowest, and then we'll work our way up because I'm going to get booed off my own podcast again. But this season has been absolutely crazy. Can anybody disagree when I say that? Nothing that makes sense has happened. There's been all kinds of ridiculousness. And that is the reason I don't think the Bengals are going to win the game, is just because it is so easy. It is a layup, a wide open layup. And you're insert whatever NBA player you want to put there. I don't know who plays in the modern NBA, but it's wide open. Nobody's there. Nobody's stopping you. You should win this game easily by 21 points. Easily by at least 21 points. But they're the Bengals of 2024. So I'm predicting 27-17 Browns, because why the heck not? Crazy. We all thought they were going to blow the Giants out. The defense bailed them out. I'm going with the craziest thing I can think of. Hopefully I'm wrong. Zach?
Zachary?
Well, I don't think it's going to be a blowout, because the last two times I said it was going to be a blowout, I was wrong. The only time I was correct about anything being out was the shootout 2 weeks ago, and we still ended up losing. Still think we can win this game. However, team rankings between the matchups, right? So points for the Bengals, we're 10th, they're 30th. Points allowed, we're 26th, they're 19th. Takeaway difference, we're at flat 0, so we're tied for 13th. They're -1, so they're 18th. So they give the ball up more than they take away. Passing yards, we're 7th, which no surprise there. They're 30th. 100 yards rushing allowed a game. That's 26 in the NFL. They've allowed 28. There's 97 yards a game. That's without Nick Chubb. So I see that changing a little bit. Defensive pass yards and rushing yards were 14th and 28th ranked. They're 11th and 21st. So I think we're going to have to win this game on the ground. I think both sides of the ball. It's going to be, the Nick Chubb and Moss and Chase Brown show. Long story there to tell you. I think my score is going to be opposite of Casey's. I think it's going to be 27-17 Bengals.
Hey, if it's that score, somebody's a winner for the first time this year. So, hey, hopefully it's you. All right, Nick, go ahead.
I'm going with Joe Burrow having a pretty good day, pretty modest. I think that, probably, 300-ish yards passing with a lot of yards rushing. I think we're going to balance it out pretty well with our running attack with Chase Brown and Zach Moss. I think our defense is going to have a big day because we're going to be focused on the run. Our defense, when we're focused on one single attack, we usually do pretty well, especially, looking like what we did against the Giants, being able to contain the actual running back and the quarterback. So what I'm going to say is 35-10 Bengals. And I'm not going to say that all those touchdowns are offensive.
Like it.
I completely agree. I don't think all those touchdowns are going to be offensive either. I'm going to go 45-10 Bengals. I think it's going to be domination. I'm just going to say I'm not going to drop the Bengals defense this week in fantasy because I think they're going to destroy them. You know who scored the most touchdowns for the Browns this season? He's not even on offense. That's what's the worst part of the Browns. The person who scored the most touchdowns is a defensive player. Plus, they just got rid of their best offensive weapon, aside from Nick Chubb, who has not even seen the field this year yet. So, I cannot wait for this week, even though I'm not even going to be home to watch it.
Yeah, what a bum. Me neither. So
Unreal.
Hey, quiet from the peanut gallery.
Zach's not even here for the freaking podcast. What are you talking about?
Show up late, leave in the middle. Sounds like Zach.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Segment break.
Jamar Chase.
That's going to about wrap it up for us here. And Nick's doing his ninja moves and whatnot. So we're here to our final thoughts. And Nick, I want to throw it to you first because I know you're going to be optimistic. Go for it.
I think final thoughts. I think our defense is building off of this past week with the Giants. I think what we're going to see is a very strong defensive front, especially against the run. I think our defensive backfield is going to come up with some big plays because we're going to get some pressures on Deshaun Watson because we're going to essentially stop their run game and put too much pressure on Deshaun Watson that we're going to get a couple picks, if not three, one for a pick six. I think big day for the defense, but I think an even bigger day for the offense, kind of putting the whole game together. And I think this week is going to be that entire package that we're going to see what we're actually capable of as Bengals. So I think that players only meeting really did something last week, and I can't wait to see how they build on it this week.
Like it, Josh.
I completely agree. The players only meeting is what really helped to spark some sort of aggression in this defense that they did not have before last week. And that, I think, is what this team really needed. they needed to have the defense step up and bail out the offense because the offense did not have a great showing. And that's what championship teams do. If the offense slacks a little bit, the defense picks them up. If the defense is playing a little bad one week, the offense picks them up. You have to rely on both sides of the ball to have a championship contender. Not saying that this team is a championship contender to this point because we have not seen it. But if you're going to build off of what you did last week, this week is how you show that you can move forward. You got to come out. You got to be aggressive on both sides of the ball. Score as many points as you can and go after the freaking ball every chance you get on defense. Beat them down, demoralize them. Oh, I want to see them beat up Deshaun Watson. That's all I want to see. Beat him up so bad. Come on, do it.
Get him. All right, Burns, plug the socials and give your final thoughts.
Follow us anywhere that you aren't currently. So whether that's Twitter, or formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, TikTokies, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, anything in between. Talkin_Bengals to find us all of theirs at Talkin_Bengals. Website talkinbengals.com. My final thoughts, though, is that I shaved my mustache this week, and Josh grew his out. I think
I just shaved everything else. I didn't shave the mustache.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yours is now there. It's magic. So I
You
think
still
we're
have
onto
eyebrows,
something here.
though. You still have eyebrows, though. So you didn't shave everything.
I'm talking about that's irrelevant, Nicholas.
I think what Zach's
He
getting
didn't.
at
He
is that
said everything, but
Yeah.
really, it's not everything. So
Okay, Mr.
I
Literal.
shaved everything else.
literally,
So,
Anyway.
John, you're not allowed to shave your mustache, apparently.
No.
I have
Don't.
to.
Nope. Keep the mustache. We're
No.
gonna start a trend. We're gonna start a trend here.
I'll keep
Everyone
my
keeps the
mustache.
mustache. Yeah, everybody. We're gonna go full stash for the next episode.
Then we're all just going to
No.
look like this for the whole episode.
Yeah.
I'm just never going to
100%.
shave my beard all season. Just not going to touch it.
Fair
It's
enough.
going to get all gnarly and nasty.
Ew. It'll look like a lumberjack or some kind of hill person. It's going to look ridiculous.
Well,
And then
we
my
won't
second-
get inappropriate.
My second final thought before I was rudely interrupted.
By Casey.
How rude.
Yes. Is that hopefully the momentum continues. Pressure Deshaun Watson as much as you possibly can on defense. Make him be the one to try to beat you, not Nick Chubb, because we saw how that worked with the dude in Baltimore, King Henry, which we did a pretty good job for that game up until the last drive. But one is all you need. And I'll leave that as that. Casey, take us home.
Yep. So if you have not bought our shirts yet, buy our shirts. We're in the process of making an awesome Jermaine Burton milk carton shirt. We're in the process of that because where the heck is Jermaine Burton? Healthy scratch. I mean, I get it. Josh is literally getting naked on the pod. So thanks, Josh. All right. Together we are Florence. It's an awesome shirt. I will say it's one of our awesome shirts. I agree. But yeah, Jermaine Burton, please let him play. Because if we lose T. Higgins, which we probably will after this season, he needs to get some experience. So please let him play. But buy our awesome shirts. We have the We're Florence, y'all. We have the Talkin Bengals, y'all. We have just regular Talkin Bengals. We have the Anderson Brothers, which is one of the coolest shirts you'll ever find. And it supports a great cause. So check us out there. Get all that stuff done. Be good to each other, Bengals fans, and hooday.
Hooday, baby.
Hooray, baby.
Show your Bengals and Northern Kentucky pride. Get the Talkin Bengals Y'all shirt now. Order today exclusively at talkinbengals.com.